22-year-old Kathia Castro lives her life in fear of losing her family. As a college student at Northeastern Illinois University, Kathia has one more year to go and is uncertain of what the future holds. As a DACA recipient, she faces the possibility of deportation under President Donald Trump's administration.
Everyone is just afraid of being separated, but I think my mom, more than anything, is afraid of something happening to me, more so than her.
In 1996, Kathia's mother brought her to the U.S. from Mexico. She was just 3 months old.
We came April 30th, which my mom remembers because I think it's like Children's Day or something in Mexico, so that's when we came here.
As an infant, she had no choice in the matter.
Couldn't even hold my own head up, but I'm being held accountable for it.
Kathia's father crossed the border by walking through the desert, but Kathia and her mother took a more conventional route.
My mom and I flew here. We got just like a traveler's visa, and we just came in and never went back.
Kathia is one of nearly 800,000 young undocumented immigrants that have taken the advantage of the Deferred Deportation program, known as DACA, that President Barack Obama created in 2012.
The idea is that the program gives a temporary reprieve from deportation for children who were brought here by their parents and were brought without legal status. So it doesn't make them into citizens, it doesn't actually give them a path to citizenship, but what it does say is that they can, if they qualify, they can get a work permit, they can stay in the country without fearing deportation, at least as long as they have that status.
DePaul professor Allison Brownell-Terrace studies immigration law and policy. She tells us that DACA is not a radical program.
There's a use of that power that the immigration authorities have used for a long time, so it's not something that is new. The particular program itself is new, but the idea of the government deferring action on deportation is not new.
Growing up in predominantly Hispanic Waukegan, a far northern suburb of Chicago, Kathia always felt like she fit in.
I grew up with people who were kind of like me, whose parents were undocumented, but they were citizens.
While Kathia knew she was undocumented, it wasn't until 6th grade that she found out what the term meant.
It was like not like a dirty word, but it was like scandalous, you know? And I don't think I understood that. So I just talked openly, and then I found out what it actually meant, and I was like, why is that so scandalous? Like, what's so bad about that?
As a middle school student in 2007, there is no protection for undocumented immigrants like Kathia. At school, classmates challenged her dreams of going to college, but one Latino teacher took notice and encouraged her.
My grades started to slip, I started to act out, and she sort of saw that. And instead of being like, oh, she's just, she's one of the bad kids now and like giving up, she, tried to talk to my parents and everything.
While Kathia struggled at school, little did she know the government was about to throw her a lifeline.
I was a junior in high school, so it was like crunch time a little bit, and I kept begging my mom to get me a fake social so that I could work, and she refused and refused. But she was right, it worked out in the end, because Obama announced that they were going to do this whole program, and so we applied right away for it.
Even though DACA was created to protect undocumented children, not everyone is eligible.
You have to have come to the country by a certain time. You have to be a certain age. You can't be over, I believe it's 30, to apply for the program. You have to demonstrate good character, some possibility of going to college or doing military service. So it's not like everybody can qualify for this program.
On the day the program was announced, Kathia and her mother went to Navy Pier where lawyers had gathered to offer counsel. The crowd was overwhelming.
There was no way they were going to get through everyone, so they just handed out flyers. And on that list was different lawyers. And there was one in Waukegan, so we're like, okay, cool, we'll go to her.
In order to prove she had been a U.S. resident, Kathia had to gather all of her education transcripts, magazine subscriptions, and receipts from doctor office visits. She scrambled to collect anything that could strengthen her case. Eventually, her hard work paid off.
While it was all happening, while I was going to school, I was accepted for DACA, so I got my social security number. I was like, okay, I did that. That was possible.
But even with protected status, Kathia continued to encounter obstacles.
There was this one school that I really wanted to go to, but it was really expensive. So I applied to a scholarship, and I got it, which was awesome. I felt really proud. I was really happy. But then I went in to do paperwork or whatever. They found out that I had DACA, that I wasn't a U.S. citizen. So technically I wasn't eligible for it, and they took it back.
Although she was disappointed, Kathia persisted. She went to community college and then enrolled at Northeastern. As an undocumented immigrant, life has always been a struggle to navigate.
There's always weird, I don't know if I would call them loopholes, but things just don't add up. Like, you can do this, but you can't do that. And so you're like walking on eggshells your whole life.
Here in Chicago's South Side Pilsen area, there are many undocumented immigrants who face the fear every day of being deported and being separated from their families.
I don't think the government has the wherewithal to take the information they have on these people and go after them.
For 30 years, Atkinson and his family run firm had practiced immigration law. His office deals directly with DACA recipients.
Courts are already terribly backed up, and then they want to speed up the process, but you can't speed up our Constitution exists. They haven't done away with the Constitution, and you can't speed up due process.
With the backed-up judiciary system and the hefty cost of court proceedings, why are some politicians eager to prosecute immigrant populations?
The statistics I've seen say that there's a lower amount of crime in those communities than in the normal community.
Crime isn't the only misconception about immigrant populations. Many people think undocumented residents don't pay taxes.
I did have a teacher in 6th grade. She was my English teacher who went on this rant one time. I don't even know why, but she was going off about how immigrants don't pay taxes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I sit in and I translate with my parents when they do taxes, and I went off on her.
Not only do DACA recipients pay for permission to work, they also contribute millions to the government without having the right to vote.
You're taking 1 million people, 800,000 people, that are, most of them are working, they're paying into the federal and they're paying into the state, and they're paying taxes. No one's giving them a break and saying, you're DACA, you don't have to pay taxes. Nobody does that, okay? So you're taking money away from the government.
Even though Kathia's status remains tenuous, she is fortunate to afford what little protection she has.
DACA itself is elitist because it costs them money to get it. There's people who qualify, but they can't do it because it's expensive. It's like a VIP membership to temporarily be here.
Growing up, Kathia felt alone. While some of her friends' parents were undocumented, all of her peers were citizens. So at 9 years old, Kathia started demonstrating and she made friends along the way. During the 2016 election, CNN featured a photo of her protesting and the image went viral. Soon after, she was connected to the other Dreamers across the nation.
It was the first time that I had conversations with people who did know what I was going through.
Surrounded by a world of political noise, Kathia finds refuge in a different type of feedback. Every weekend, she makes the hour drive to Chicago to link up with friends and see the latest rock band.
You don't think about anything else. You're just in the moment. So it's like pressing pause on everything else. You're just, nothing else matters.
While Kathia is one of the few lucky dreamers, the news is a daily reminder that at any moment her future can change.
I don't know that I want to go back to Mexico. I don't know what it's like over there. I mean, I speak Spanish and I have family there, but I don't really know them.
With uncertainty looming, Kathia Castro keeps working towards a better future, while hoping that one day she too will be a legal citizen of the only place she's ever called home.